Hi, this is Coach McQueen. We're ready to install the Space Saver gem. And the first thing that we've done is we've located where we want to put it. So we've found our wall. We know that this is where we want it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to locate the stud in the wall. And generally you've got a 2x4, which you can expect to be about 1.5 inches wide. Now we know that we're going to put the top end of the rail up here, so I'm going to step up here and I'm going to mark my stud. So right here I have found my left side, and then I'm going to come over here and I've found my right side. So now I've made a mark on the wall. So if you prefer not to put your pencil mark on the wall, you can tear off a little piece of tape. Remember to give yourself a little tear spot. And you could just put it up here, just like that, and then make your mark here. Now that is going to be the mark for the width of the stud, and then we're going to come back and we're going to find the middle of the stud, because that's where we want to put the screws into our Space Saver gem. So I'm going to mark off the width of this stud, and I'm going to make a mark for the about halfway. So now I know that this is my middle of the stud. So that's where I'm going to put my screws. Okay, we've decided on this 7-foot wall that we want to be 8 inches off the floor. So we're going to take the 8 inches plus the 6 feet of rail. We're going to go to 80 inches and mark that off. That is going to be the top end of our top rail. And so you can mark on the wall. In this case, we're not worried about it, or you can bring your tape down and mark on the tape, so that once you are ready to start installing, you can just peel the tape off and you won't have any marks on the wall. So now up here we have a mark for the middle of our stud, and then we're going to go down to this spot. We know that that's our max height. So this is exactly where we're going to put, and we're going to install our first screw to the top end of the top rail. Now we're ready to start installing this top rail. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the rail car off, and we're going to deal with only the actual rail. So remember, now when we're installing our first screw on the top rail, we're going to put the washer on our screw, and then hopefully you've got a drill that can hold this screw in place with a magnet. So at this point, then we're going to make sure we're level, and then we're going to start putting the screws in. We're going to do the top one first, and then we're going to go all the way down one screw at a time, and we're going to use our level and make sure that we are level from top to bottom. So now I'm going to put my top of the rail right at that mark where I want it to be, and I'm going to take my level and I'm just going to make a little bit of an adjustment so that I make sure that when I start, we are completely level. Now, if you've already done your pre-drill, that's fine, and then we're going to make sure that we're ready to go. We're going to put this in. Okay, now we've got our first screw, and now we're ready to continue installing down the rail. Now we're ready for the second screw. We're going top to bottom. Notice that you've got the countersunk holes, which are where the screws go, and then all your lock-in positions. There are 2 of them in between each countersunk hole. So we're going to put a level up here. We are going to make sure that we're perfectly level, and you can move it back and forth a little bit just to make sure you're in good position. And again, if you've pre-drilled, that's great. So we just want to make sure that all the way from top to bottom we're as level as possible. And now that we have all the screws in, we're just going to go up and down one more time. We're going to make sure that we are perfectly level all the way from top to bottom, and we are, so we're in good shape. Now we've put our bumper up here at the top. That's just sort of a safety area to make sure that at some point maybe you don't push the rail car and it goes up off. It's okay, but now we're going to install the rail car. So we're going to come to the bottom of our first rail. We're going to press in the lever, and we're going to slide it on like that. We're going to go up and down. We're making sure that it slides smoothly and locks into any position. Now, as you're sliding this up and down, because there is probably no perfect wall, have yourself a nice handy screwdriver. If you feel that at some point it's not sliding smoothly, these screws may need to be adjusted. You can tighten it a little bit. We want to make sure that each screw is flush with the countersunk hole. Maybe it just needs a slight turn to the right or the left, and you'll find out that it's going to slide smoothly. Now you've got all these lock positions. You've got your top rail ready to go. Now we're going to get ready to install the bottom rail. Now we're going to install the bottom rail. We're going to put it up here, and we're going to guide it into place as straight as we can, and then we're going to put the level here so that we know that it's perfectly level. Now that we've got the second rail level, we're going to press that level up against nice and tight, and we're going to insert the second screw or the top screw that's going to be involved in our transition from the top rail to the bottom rail. If you have a second rail car, then we're going to slide the rail car on, and then we're going to put the bottom screw in with the bumper attached. So we're going to go down here, and we're going to slide that right on up, and then we're going to put in our last screw, and we're going to put it on with the bumper. Each time, just to make sure, I'm going to use my level, and we're going to, now we're just about completely installed right there. So we've got our bumper at the bottom, and we've got our second rail car. Now you see we got just a little bit of a hitch right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to release that just a little bit, and you'll notice after we release that screw it went right on up. Now that we've got both rails, we've made sure they're even, we've made sure they're lined up. Now we're going to take our rail car and we're going to go up and down and make sure we slide smoothly in all areas, and we're going to get down here to our transition area, and we're going to move right up and down so that we know that we can lock this in on any position from top to bottom. Now in this particular case, we installed a rail car for the top rail. We also installed one for the bottom. So we're going to make sure that it slides up and down, and it can also make the transition if that's what you want to do, so that you can put this one down here. Now you've got multiple angles, multiple opportunities. You can also take this rail and turn it upside down if you like, so that on the bottom side, if you're going to do a lot of angles, but you don't have to, it will still work just fine, having both rail cars with the hook going up.